So the Gauteng High Court has ruled that the Department of Basic Education should publish matric results across all media platforms. We're joined now to explain how the POPI, or Protection of Personal Information Act, works exactly in full detail. We're joined by Greene, attorneys, head of POPI Act program, Ameera Essa. Ameera, thank you very much for availing yourself this afternoon. So what exactly is the POPI Act and what's its purpose?
So POPI is essentially South Africa's data privacy law. The act was put into place to give you rights over your personal information and to protect you from harm by protecting your personal information. It's there to protect your privacy, which is a fundamental human right.
What does it prevent? What does it allow?
In terms of Section 19 of the Act, any organization or person who keeps personal information is required to prevent the unlawful access to or the unlawful processing of personal information. They also have to take steps to prevent the loss of this information, the damage of it, or unauthorized access, or unauthorized destruction of it as well. But then in terms of what it allows, so contrary to popular belief, it does actually allow you to gather and process information. It's not a case of no more processing allowed. You do, however, have to comply with the conditions provided for by the Act.
So when you say it does allow you to gather and process information, what do you mean?
It just means you have to do it in the way that is set out in the Act. You have to have, there are 8 conditions set out in the Act. They're rather extensive. They're easily available as well for everyone who wants to look into it. But you must just have to comply with the conditions. You can't just take information and put it out there without complying with what you have to first. You know, there's steps for everything.
Speaking to the Department of Basic Education's Elijah Mhlanga, saying it's a long road ahead, meaning every single one of us have to, you know, whether we go through workshops or whether we have to familiarize ourselves with exactly what it is that this act requires of us, because it impacts on each and every single South African. You've probably had a chance to take a look at what the department was arguing with regards to not publishing matric results in the media, and now the High Court, or the Gauteng Court, coming out to say that the results should be published. What did you make of these developments?
Look, it was foreseen. The POPI Act does not actually prohibit you from publishing information. As I said before, you just have to comply with the conditions. So as long as you comply with these conditions, you can publish the information.
And what do you make of the department's decision on matric results based on the Act? Was there something to be said on their part, though?
I'm not sure if there was something to be said on their part, but what I make of it is that the fact that, you know, all you have to do is comply with the conditions begs one then to think that maybe the department didn't have measurements in place to comply, you know. They had also, I don't think maybe they have a full understanding, because they had said that the Act prohibited this in terms of privacy and dignity, but dignity is not mentioned in the Act. And when it comes to privacy, as with every other law, you know, it's not absolute. You have to balance everything against each other. No law is absolute. So just take it with privacy, there is obviously a legitimate public interest in the release of the matric results. Taxpayers want to know what's happening with their money when it comes to the Department of Education. Is it successful? Is it not? Obviously there's, like, you know, there's media interest as well. There's a lot of public interest in this, and everything has to be balanced against each other. There's no hard and fast rule.
Sure. Do you rather perceive that there's different interpretations of the Act?
Oh yes, definitely. You know, I think because POPI is so complex, well, actually POPI itself, the Act itself, is rather short and not complex, but when it comes to interpreting it and especially applying it, it becomes a little hard to understand, and that's when misconceptions start jumping out. I mean, there's misconceptions such as people think that as long as you have consent, you can do whatever you want with the information, which is not the case, you know. So there are definitely many different interpretations out there, lots of misconceptions, but I think now that, you know, as we navigate through this Act, it is rather new for all of us. As we navigate through this Act, the misconceptions will start to fall away, and we will definitely very soon have a more clear and set precedent to follow.
this long road that is ahead of us, right? Do you perceive that it's going to take us a couple of years as a country and individually, right? Because it speaks to each and every single South Africa to get ourselves or to get our minds wrapped around this, because you can share a number unbeknown to you and you're violating this act.
Yeah, it's definitely going to take a while, maybe not so long for others, but as a country as a whole to understand it all and to just navigate through it, it's going to take a long time. I mean, if you look at the POPI Act, it's been around for just about 20 years, if I'm not mistaken, and people are still a little confused about that, so everything takes time.
I'm not sure whether you're familiar with the matter in terms of consultations, right? For us to get to this point where the POPI Act was finally adopted, we have not seen it being tested in the courts. I do beg your pardon if it has, and maybe you could tell us of an incident where it has. So just how far and wide were the consultations? Were we ready to adopt this?
I'm not sure if we were ready as a country to adopt it, but I do know it was necessary. I mean, yeah, we are a few steps ahead of other countries, but all those who don't have it are adopting data privacy laws, and we really needed to. I mean, it's a big thing now, especially with the way the world is going. We need to protect all of these things. I mean, there's been so many data breaches and identity theft and all of that. We need to find a way to stop all of that, and that is why this was necessary.
Thank you very much for your time this afternoon. Ameera is from Greene Attorneys, Ameera Essa. She's head of POPI Act program there.